my name's Nevaeh Wren. I go to Avon High School. I'm a senior this year. I run track, and I'm well specialty in the 400, but I do like kind of all the sprints. I am a school record holder. I hold the record in the 400, 57.1, and then the 4x4 as well. I'm not sure of the time.
Mhm.
Then my sophomore year, I went to state for the 4x1 and the 400 and placed, I think, eighth in the four with my PR. And then in the 4x1, I think we were like six, maybe. Junior year wasn't the best. Went through a lot of injuries that year, but we still got through it. I still like progressed throughout the year, which is all that kind of matters. But hoping to have a big PR my senior year. So yeah.
Okay. Now, when you came off of a junior year riddled with injuries, you
Mhm.
ran the summer.
Yeah.
And how did your summer season go?
My summer season was very successful. It was so I ran with Storm when I was like 9, and then
Yeah.
this was my year like coming back. Like I haven't ran Storm since. So it was really fun getting back and seeing all the girls and stuff like that. So I was on the 4x4 and the 4x1. Going to Texas was really fun. It was definitely a like different experience because we don't see that type of talent in like
Mhm.
Indiana a lot. But
Mhm.
we got third in the 4x4 with a very, very good time, 3:44. So it was really fun. Yep, all American, so that was fun. The 4x1 did good too. Those girls were just really fast, so
Yeah. But it gave you that experience, like you said,
yeah,
and
for
so I'm
sure.
sure that's helping you prepare for this upcoming year to be more confident. So, Nevaeh,
Yeah.
how did you get interested in track and field, especially the 400?
Well, my mom runs track, so
Okay.
yeah, I was kind of introduced at it at a pretty young age. And then I started playing basketball, and then that took over for a while. Like I was in between both. I was doing both at the same time for like 2 years, year round. And then really last year was the first time I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do AAU basketball this year. I'm gonna focus on track. So this is my first year really like focusing on track because I was just doing school. So yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
wow. Well, what made you gravitate away from basketball then? Like, is it the accomplishments to track or
Um, Not really, because I was pretty successful in basketball too, I would say. Like I've been all conference, things like that. We were a pretty successful year. But I would just say just transitioning, just getting older really, and like future goals, wanting to go to college and stuff like that. So it was pretty much winding down what I wanted to do and getting scholarships and things like that. So I would say that's what kind of got me more focused on track than basketball.
Awesome.
I enjoy both equally, but
Oh,
okay.
wow. You're talented in both areas. I love it. So, what would you say has been, you shared like a lot of exciting things that happened throughout the school year and this summer. What would you say has been one of your most memorable moments of competing?
I would say recently with the USATF stuff in Texas, that was definitely memorable, especially because we came in not seeded what we actually got, and we came out, and even our like the prelims before we were like, okay, guys, we want to get at least like sixth or seventh, and it was just really fun being able to like accomplish more than we wanted. And it was just a fun experience all in all. So I would say that's one of my memorable, just getting a really good time that I've never been a part of a fast time like that. So it was really fun, especially being the lead leg and getting us that start was definitely like a big accomplishment for me. So yeah.
Nice. So I mean, you've had this experience, so you're a little juiced up now about track since it's like I've been on a big time track, I've been at a big time meet, placed well, top five.
Mhm.
What are your short-term, long-term goals with the sport? I know you mentioned earlier, when you're thinking about college, but what are your Oh, we
Yeah,
committed already.
Oh, did you commit?
we are not committed. We are not committed.
Oh,
Actually,
okay.
we just went on my official visit was Sunday and Monday for Indiana State. So that's definitely
Awesome.
one of my like top choices of going to college for track. So I'm very excited of the whole recruiting process. My mom's an alumni there and ran track, so it's a big family there. So I'm loving it. That's one of my, I guess, would that be long term or short term? I don't really know, but
That's
that's
your
definitely one of my
senior, so
goals.
that'd be short, I
Yeah,
guess.
it's a short term goal. Long term goal really is just to have more, like fun with it. I feel like high school, a lot of it with, especially school, was more like kind of stressful sometimes. So I just want to have fun with it my senior year and get some big PRs and get top five at state. So that's my goal.
Okay.
Also,
Innovate.
also get a school 4x4 to state. I really want to get that because we
Yes.
never had that for my school. So we were really close this year. So I also wouldn't do that for, I would say that's more of a long-term goal, just a little bit.
So, Nevaeh, how do you prepare? You know, you talked about getting ready for the relay, and it's just like you all weren't seated um, where you all had hoped, but how you finished, right? And so, how do you prepare mentally for big competitions?
I'm really into my faith and just trusting God in everything that I do. So I would say really just praying, and especially being around the girls that I was with in school and in Indiana Storm Club, we were all
Hmm.
just really praying over like giving God all the glory and everything that we were doing, just taking it and giving it to him, not putting a lot of stress on ourselves. So I think that's really how I prepare, just not stressing myself out about it, just going in it with like having a fun mindset about it and still pushing ourselves, you know?
Yeah, that's real nice. And when it comes to stuff like that, well, this was a new situation with the USATF. So what is it like in terms of how would you have defined that moment to make it successful? Let's say it didn't turn out the way you wanted to, or how would you have dealt with that in terms of if it was a disappointment?
I think we would have just dealt with it as we still got here. We still
Hmm.
got to this point. We still got through all the meets that we had to get to this point, and we still got to compete with the top girls in really the country. So I think that was really how we would have took it if it wouldn't have went how we wanted to, and just giving it our all through like what we did do in that moment. So yeah.
Yeah, no, follow-up question is that you've had some other disappointments with the injuries.
Yeah.
How did you handle that? How do what do you do now to make sure you're building up those areas that were injured before? What's that process like?
It was rough. It was rough, definitely, because I've been dealing with it for like almost 4 years with back problems and stuff like that. So I just think kind of handling it just with it's not gonna last forever kind of mindset. And I really wanted to compete this summer. So I think after like that summer after Texas, I kind of wind down. I haven't ran track in almost a month or done any like type of physical activity, kind of just been doing physical therapy, taking it down a notch. So I think going into my senior year, just really taking care of my body, listening to my body, things like that, because I didn't take a break all year. So I
Hmm.
think that's kind of how I handled it and went about it. Just it wasn't gonna last forever and just get through the pain pretty much.
Are you still playing basketball?
I am playing basketball this year. Yes.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, very excited.
Now with
So,
all your
so,
sporting activities, how do you manage like friends, social life, academics? How do you manage
mhm.
that?
Well, I still have a 3.9 GPA, so we're managing it pretty well. I
Okay.
think I think just time management really and just what really matters to you and what you're gonna put as your priorities. So just like on the weekends, like just pretty much just planning out what you're gonna do throughout like your week or something like that. Just making sure that you have a balance and you're not stressing yourself out too much. So I think that's kind of how I maintain the balance, just planning out things to do with friends and make sure I'm still having fun as a teenager, you know?
How do you feel like being an athlete has shaped who you are and your character? So if we saw you and we didn't know you, what would what would people say about you?
I would definitely say leadership. I definitely play a leadership role. I think even just me coming back to Indiana Storm Club, even just like being a part of the drills, like starting the drills with people, making sure we get the lap in, making sure we warm up right. And I think you wouldn't have known that it was my first year coming back to Storm. I feel like you would have seen that type of leadership role. I'm a part of the IHSA leadership program that we do every year. So we like are the whole state of Indiana goes to like a lot of I would say programs and like retreats that we just like talk about how to be a leader and what that's like and what we kind of have to go through and how to be a better leader. And with my basketball team, I've been captain for 4 years now. So I think just a leadership role is the role that I play as a athlete, and that's pretty much what I've built throughout my career, I guess.
Track is a sport where at any given day anybody can win
Yeah, for
and
sure.
anybody can be beat,
Hmm.
regardless of what their time in the past has said, what their performances look like. There are those things. So like what has it maybe taught you in terms of just how to move forward and how to handle life in general?
I would just say never really take your foot off the pedal, really. Even going against other people, I think that that has helped me a lot. So I would say just like having people that you're gonna follow, is that something that I would take into what was the question like into your
Well,
future?
just into life in itself.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, I would say just having good people around, honestly, because for example, on Memo, we run against each other almost 5 times in the school season. And I think every time we're like, okay, we're gonna run this together. And I think just having that person like by your side to help you through those races and to push each other, even in storm, we push each other a lot. So I think just having those people in life, really.
Now
So
you mentioned Omima, who
right, I was going.
yeah, she
Mhm.
won state. Like,
Yes,
what do you think separates like good from great athletes?
for track, definitely just your mindset, honestly, because it really is 90% like mental for sure.
Mhm.
And just even seeing, I'm gonna give a lot of examples like Gia. Her race is like how she goes throughout things is really mental. And for me too, like how I felt throughout the day is pretty much how I'm gonna run that night. And I
Mhm.
think a lot of the times you just have to really focus on like what's really important and just hindering in that like why you do what you do, you know? So I think that's how it's just a mental aspect of like from great just appreciating that you get to run that like whatever meet you're in and stuff like that. So I think definitely that mental aspect for sure.
What's your perspective on winning and losing? And how do you view that if you didn't have your
I
best
think
race or
yeah, I
you're
think
competing against like
yeah. I think that has changed throughout the years. I'm still very competitive, but I've definitely took it as a fact of I have to run my own race and that people are gonna be better than me. So I think, and I kind of had to slow it down this year of being okay with letting people beat me because I'm like, you can still win like against these really fast people and have really good times. So I think it's okay to lose, and I think you just have to run your own race and stuff like that. So yeah, I just think it's all about, especially in track, about how you run. So I think
hmm
sometimes it's okay to lose, but definitely don't get rid of your competitive aspect because that's still really important.
And a lot of times you get to learn from losing,
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
for
know,
sure.
because
Especially
you learn what you did wrong, right?
yeah,
That's how most life lessons come about is from when you lose, when you fail,
Mhm.
so to speak. It's like, okay, it's not a failure, it's more of a learning opportunity.
yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that's a good one there. But how does it, how like, you talked about your mom earlier, their mom went to Indiana State. What role do your parents play in like your victories, your defeats? How do they support you? What's your group like?
Biggest supporters, biggest cheerleaders for sure. I appreciate everything they do and everything. Like they've been with me throughout my entire athletic journey in life, really. So I definitely appreciate them, the money they've spent, being by my side, coming to the meets and stuff like that. They definitely pushed me. You know, some parent child is always going to be like this sometimes.
Mhm.
So definitely just making sure that, you have to listen to them sometimes. They're not always wrong. So yeah,
You
we have a
said
good relationship.
you said listen to them sometimes. Shout out your parents. What's your parents' name so we give them their
She's,
kudos?
come on, mom. She's over there. Give her a shout out. She's over there listening. Yeah. My mom is Lakeisha Wren, and then my dad is Eldrin. So yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
hmm And then my sisters too. They come regardless if they like it or not. I know sometimes they don't in the cold weather, but they come to all my meets when they can. So I appreciate them too.
Okay. Are they older or younger sisters?
I'm the oldest, two younger sisters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Well,
how has your success influenced them? Are they track athletes or
I
just
think
how you handle
Yeah, I think it
multiple
gave
things?
them a very big influence. Honestly, the middle child, the second oldest, she is a thrower. And I think just her seeing me being able to like do certain things and work hard and be in the weight room, she's like, okay, well now I want to do that. So I think
hmm
that I play a big role in both of them, honestly. The youngest one isn't as athletic, but still she's a cheerleader and she sees that
hmm
we're doing things, so then she wants to be a part of something. So I think I played a big role and I'm trying to be the best big sister that I can.
yeah,
Awesome.
that's
Like
real
you're doing
cool.
a great job. Yeah.
You.
Yeah. Now, when things get tough, training in particular, how do you like keep yourself motivated? How do you stay on top of those things? Because I know track is a different sport than anything else. It's not like basketball where we got to call a timeout. Well, track is not that. So, how do
Definitely.
you keep yourself motivated throughout that tough transition of training?
I think just always remembering your why and why you do what you do, and just continuing. taking the days day by day, not being too hard on yourself. I used to be very hard on myself after a bad workout, even crying after a bad workout. Like I think you just can't be too hard on yourself, honestly. So I think that's how I've taken it this past year for sure. Excuse the dog, sorry.
It's okay.
We didn't see a dog.
We didn't see it or hear it.
Barked. He barked. I didn't know if y'all heard it or not.
Oh yeah.
So Nevaeh, you've talked about how you do basketball, you do track, your athletics. How do or do you feel you've had to sacrifice anything? And if so, what?
I would say just time away from your family, time away
Mhm,
from your friends, time away from things that you want to do. I think that's really the sacrifices that you have to make, but still making sure that you're still being a teenager at the end of the day, you know?
mhm, mhm,
And with being that, like sports like basketball and track, there's so many people.
Mhm.
Like, do you find that your friends are usually on the a part of the team as well?
mhm,
Um, yeah, I think it's easier just to have friends that are on the team. You know, they understand how being a student athlete is like, and I think it just makes it easier to be with people that are like-minded like you know?
mhm, mhm. You mentioned you've had successes individually and on relays with your teammates. And so, how do you balance your goals for your individual events as well as the goals for scoring for your team or being a part of a relay?
Relays are always really fun. I think when you're especially part of when you're on a relay with your friends, and I feel like I'm always leading off of 4x4. So I think that when you're doing, I've done that with my school and for Storm this year. So I think it was always fun just sometimes getting that lead for your team. And I always love cheering them on, even if I'm dying after the four, cheering them on after, and seeing them run around the track. I think that's the best part of being the first leg. So I think having a good balance is good. It's always less pressure being on a relay, I feel like, and it's easier to run the 400 on a relay. So I don't know. I think it's just fun in both ways, but it's
Mhm,
definitely sometimes more pressure when you're alone on the 400
mhm,
than it
mhm.
is to have a lot of other people waiting to do the 400 right behind you. So I don't know if that answers the question, but that's
Yes,
kind
absolutely. You did. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And the other question is, like, you've had some success at this, obviously.
of.
So how do you celebrate those successes?
Um, First, giving God all the glory always. And
Mhm,
then I think just reflecting back on, you know, the hard work that you've accomplished through it and just having fun with it. Like being able to be like happy about your successes. You know, you don't always have to be this humble person.
mhm.
Like you can celebrate when you do good. So I think that some people, they are so, no, we gotta do better the next time. Like, no, you can have fun when you like, especially we're young, so you don't always have to be so hard on yourself, you know? So I think that's how
So,
I
how do you celebrate?
I don't know. I just get being happy, I guess, especially because before the meets, I'm not very happy all the time.
Mhm.
I'm nervous, have a lot of anxiety before the meet. So I think just that relief of okay, it's
Yes.
done. Just being happy, I think that's really the only way I celebrate is just
Awesome. No favorite food or dessert. Your
not
mom cooking it.
really.
No,
I
no
think that's
movie, no nothing, huh?
I don't
favorite
think I have
book.
anything particular. No, I think I'm just sometimes just happy that it's over, honestly. That the 400 is over.
No, but smiles are contagious. So you being happy is showing that
Yeah, that
that is enough to celebrate. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, cool.
Who's your inspiration in the sport? You mentioned your mom. No pressure on Mom Dukes, but who's been your biggest inspiration in track and field?
Can it be like a celebrity? Is that okay?
It could be whoever you want it
Whatever.
to be. It don't
Definitely
have to be.
Steve McLaughlin for sure. I'm a
Yeah.
big fan of hers and I watch her throughout everything that she's like accomplished because she's had ups and downs too. So I think I kind of relate to her in a way of like the anxiety of like track sometimes. So I think definitely she's one of my inspirations. My mom is one of my inspirations too. Definitely friends too. Like I think that they can inspire you to have bigger dreams and bigger aspirations and bigger PRs that you want to do. So I think those would be my biggest inspirations for sure.
Mhm. Nice. Now, you've had a couple different coaches we know for certain. What's like the best advice one of your coaches has given you?
I think the best advice that I sometimes hear is just that you're capable, honestly. Like sometimes coaches, especially for track, they just kind of just do what you can, that there's like just go out and do what you can. But I think when you have a coach telling you like that you're actually capable of hitting these big times and big PRs, that I think that's the best advice or thing that I've heard from a coach is that you're capable, especially before you get on the line. So that's the best thing that I've heard for sure.
And then when it comes to on the other side of that, I guess dealing with feedback. We won't call
Right.
it criticism. We'll call it
Yeah.
feedback.
Yeah.
How do you take that in? Like all athletes don't receive feedback well.
Mhm.
So how do you do that?
I would say it's definitely a learning experience always of experiencing like or hearing feedback. You know, sometimes you're not always gonna take it the best. My parents are looking at me like crazy right now. So definitely learning from taking feedback, you know, I'm not always right. So it's just a learning experience. Sometimes I take it better than other times. So feedback is always good. I I,
Mhm.
like- I like hearing feedback, especially after my races. So I think I always take constructive criticism after a race very good.
That's really good. I mean, that's a great characteristic to have as an athlete. And coaches love and flock and gravitate towards athletes that can receive feedback and trust the training. So that's I commend you for being open to feedback and not shying away from it.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I always ask after a 400, what could I have done better, or how did this look, or how did that look? So I definitely love receiving feedback after, especially the four.
Now, with you saying you always want to, you're asking people about the feedback. Do you use any type of technology to help you out in
Um,
terms of,
yeah,
analyzing your races?
I would just say just recording the races, honestly, that's really it. And then I know Coach Mike, I've sent him a video before, and he's like really, that's probably the first time I've had a coach break it down
Mhm.
very, very specifically about what could have done better and stuff like that. So I appreciated that a lot because I sometimes the things that he said, I was like, I've never seen that before, noticed that before. And other coaches too, just what I don't see when I'm on the back stretch or me bobbing my head on the last 100. So just those type of things.
Mm.
Mhm. What advice would you give to, uh, what is something you wish someone would have told you when you got into the sport that you know now that you want to share out? Something that what's a nugget that you would like to leave to an athlete looking up to? They're just like, I want to be like you. What can you tell me?
Just don't be so hard on yourself, honestly, especially getting right into it. I think you definitely just have to have fun. Like, especially if you start at a young age of having fun with the sport, then I think
Hmm.
that just progressively you just have more fun with it, honestly. Not that I was always so hard on myself, but I think you just have this competitive edge about yourself sometimes that you want to be like other people or you want to achieve this or that. So I think just going at your own pace, going at your own, your own races and things like that. So I just think being yourself, honestly.
That's great. No, that's great advice. It's perfect.
Yeah. Well, Nevaeh, we appreciate you joining us and sharing a few nuggets and some of
Thank
the
you.
things that you have going on. Um, if somebody wants to follow along your career, do you have a social media you'd like them to follow or anything like that?
Yes, I do. Let me pull up, make sure I'm saying the right one. It's just my name, Nevaeh, for my Instagram, .w0. So that's my Instagram. And then my Twitter is, I think it's just my name, Nevaeh Wren. So if you want to see some things on there that I've accomplished or just shouting out other people, I like to shout out other people on there and repost my friends' stuff too. So, yep.
That's awesome. Well, we are looking forward to your successes for the school year. We will be watching even beyond high school. So we wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. I appreciate it for having me.
Yeah.
No problem.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yep. You're welcome.